Good evening. This is Lillian Kerr on the Progressive Forum, and you're tuned in to KPFT 90.1 FM Pacifica Radio here in Houston. Tonight, my guests have joined me to talk about the Unite Against the War on Women. And in the studio, I've got Andy Gardner, who's a local organizer with the Unite Against the War on Women. And joining us by phone from Washington State is Rhoda Mueller, who's a national director for this movement. And we're going to be talking about the rally that's been organized to take place nationally this coming Saturday, April 28th. Welcome, Rhoda and Andy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Lillian.
Thanks for joining us. So let's start with Andy. First of all, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Andy. How did you get involved in this particular issue?
I got involved on Facebook. I was just cruising through Facebook, and I saw Karen Teagarden's name and the Unite, and I just started looking at that, and it just, wow. So I just jumped off into it.
Something said it's about time we need to do something.
Absolutely.
How about you, Rhoda?
I had been paying attention to the various legislation that was going on that was anti-women, like the transvaginal ultrasound bill.
Which passed here in Texas, by the way.
What was that?
It passed here in Texas.
It did.
Oh, yes.
See, and I didn't know that.
It did.
That's just absolutely awful. I'm so sorry to hear that.
I know.
So I had been watching, those things happen, and I was just on Facebook one day, and I'm not sure where I saw the page, the Organized Against the War on Women page, but I saw it and joined it, and, the rest is her story. Now we're all standing up to say enough is enough to this all together, and I think that's what's going to make a difference.
Yeah, so perhaps you can give us a quick synopsis. It seems like this every week or every couple of days, a new little thing happens. I'm thinking it started back when, well, first of all, definitely when there was I remember starting to sit up and pay attention when the state of Virginia tried to pass the transvaginal requirement before you could get an abortion. And so many women and men came out and protested against that, and the governor backed down. And then It seemed to be little things after that. We had Ms. Santorum's statements about reproductive freedom, which I didn't think was an issue we'd be talking about.
Yes. Then we also had in Wisconsin, I hope I'm saying this right, I just kind of drew a blank. No, this was in Kansas, where they said domestic violence was no longer illegal.
It was one town in Kansas, yeah.
One town, right. Yeah, so there was that. And, yeah, there's so many. I tend to get kind of overwhelmed, and they all get tumbled up in my head, unfortunately. But I think it was 1,100 bills last year that were introduced that were anti-women, and then 400 and some of those passed.
Right. Is that kind of what sparked you, Andy?
Actually, what put my radar up was Wisconsin, and because it hit close to home, because I'm a union person. So
you mean when Scott Walker was trying to say,
when all these bills were being pushed and the senators fled from the state, and that whole battle was going on, I was watching what was happening up there, and I was just horrified that people were standing in the streets, and it was like nobody was listening to them. Mm-hmm. And as I watched that evolve, and then we started watching these towards women's health care issues start coming in state after state after state.
Right.
And then when Virginia was kind of like the culmination of, my God, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. And when that happened, people knew, or I knew, that a sonogram bill had been in our legislature, but they didn't realize it was transvaginal.
I have to confess, I didn't.
That's right. And it started coming out on Facebook. When Virginia came to light and the details of Virginia came to light, then people started asking questions here. I watched it just grow on Facebook. Well, do we have that here? We knew it had been passed, but because it had been passed under emergency measure, it had flown under the radar. And so people didn't get the opportunity to really look at it and speak out on it or push back against it before it had already happened. And that's what enraged me.
Right.
Because I felt like we have legislatures there that they're not interested in what the masses want. They have an agenda. And that's what enraged me. It's, they need to save their ideological agendas for their personal lives and not inject themselves so much into our personal lives.
Exactly. I mean, it's all about they want small government until
that's right.
It's these particular 3 inches of a woman's body that is just so fascinating.
Yes.
And then they want all over it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So back to you, Rhoda. We just learned that today the Violence Against Women Act was reauthorized in the Senate.
It was.
Yes. But it goes back to the House now, right?
Right.
And
right. And we're actually doing with unitewomen.org, we posted on all of our Facebook pages today the numbers to call in the House. And, this is one of the ways that we can get our voices heard. So we're trying to get everybody to call, and, this needs to go all the way through. So
what's that website again, Rhoda?
It's unitewomen.org.
Unitewomen.org. So that will give who to call about this particular act that we urge our representatives to pass the reauthorization of this.
I don't know if they put it on the website. I'm looking right now.
Okay.
We do have it on our Facebook fan page, which you can find by going to facebook.com/Unite Women.
Okay.
And I'm just looking now at the website, and I haven't had a chance to look at it all day today. I've been so busy, but I don't see it on here. So I think, yes, going to the Facebook fan page would be the best thing to do to find that information.
Okay. Can you talk a bit, Rhoda, about these personhood pledges that we're beginning to see pop up around different states?
This is just amazing to me that anybody would even think for a minute that someone or a fetus is a person. It doesn't make any sense, and in the pledges that are being signed for that, I feel like it's all, like you were saying, both of you, the ideological, and I feel like it's a few extremists that are trying to push their beliefs, their personal beliefs, onto other people.
Right.
And the Constitution in this country was written to not allow that to happen. And so I don't understand a lot why people like that. Why some people think that that's an okay thing to do.
It has.
It just blows my mind.
Right, but it has failed in a couple of states where it's been on the ballot or a referendum, but it still is coming up to be voted on in other states.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, it's pretty unbelievable. So it seems to be we can trace this back to when the reactionary regressives were voted into the House in 2010, and if I remember correctly, they all had won their elections based on the economy. And it's puzzling to me, especially if I had been somebody to have voted for somebody like that, as to why, instead of concentrating on the economy, which is still in a very fragile situation, all the energy seems to be directed to this issue. Maybe that's a rhetorical question, Rhoda, or Andy. I mean, it's just, that's what I find so amazing.
Well, I think that when you really look at the birth control issue and the aspects of women's health care, is that not an economic issue? Mm-hmm. That's an economic issue. Being able to control the size of your family, deciding when it's time to have a child, if I want to have a child,
right.
Can I afford a child? All of these are economic issues. And this is our freedom to make those determinations is being taken. They talk about they don't like the entitlements that are being generated out here in this country. But yet, if people cannot control their own family size and their own, then tell me how that is
Right.
going to work to cut down entitlements. And on our site down here, we have a site, www.wowtex.org, WOWTEX.org.
Okay.
And on our site, we have a link that is Take Action, Know Your Enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done is we've put on their legislation that's being passed through our houses so we can keep our
Are
citizenry.
you talking about state legislation?
Our
Andy?
state legislation, yes, ma'am. And they keep that. There's a lot of good information there so that people can go and see the types of bills that are being passed, who voted for those bills. We can tell you what person in the House voted for each bill. And something that I would like to point out on the measure that passed today, the only Republicans that voted against it were women. All the men. If
You mean voted to reauthorize it?
that is correct.
Right.
All the men voted against.
Right.
The Republican women were the only ones. Finally, they're stepping up and they're seeing the reality of what this
They get
is doing. Yes, and I mean, women are just enraged.
I know. Across political lines.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's really not a partisan issue.
Mm-hmm.
It really affects all women.
Right.
From every economic standpoint. So it made no sense.
Did you have something to say, Rhoda?
I was just thinking, I love that Texas has done all the legislation on their website.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to let everybody know that after Saturday and after everything calms down a little bit, we are working already on our national campus organizers working with across the nation with other campus organizers to put together something like that for every state.
Great. Yay. Texas is leading the way in some things.
Right.
Tell us about this. What is going to happen on Saturday?
Well, Saturday we have 55 events across the nation, and marches and rallies. Some places both, sometimes one or the other. And we are all just coming together for women's rights. And, I feel like this first event is really for awareness, to get people to realize what's going on, the ones that don't, and also for our government to see us stand up and say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So do we know if there's something going to happen in all 50 states, Rhoda?
We do have a couple states that don't have anything happening, and people from there are planning to go to other states.
Okay.
I think it's 3 states that we don't have anything. But yeah, then people are going carpooling and pulling together to rent buses and things like that to get to other events.
Excellent. So, Andy, tell us what's going to happen right here in our own state capital this Saturday, April 28th.
We are going to have people coming from all over the state. We have 3 buses coming from the Houston region alone. We have one coming from from Deerbrook Mall. We have another one leaving from the IBEW Lowe's over on 610 and Ella. We have another bus leaving from Conroe. If they go on to the WOW text.org, then that information is all there so they can see who the contacts are, what number to call, and we would encourage them to do so.
Tell us what's going to happen in Austin if people want to make their own way there.
We're going to be meeting at the Capitol at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, we're for the people that are coming from the Houston contingent, the Houston organizers, we're going to try to get everybody from the Houston group together, have a group picture, because these women are excited. It's very energizing having women be able to come together in something like this. It's empowering, and so we're going to try to get everybody together that we can, take a picture. Then we're going to go to the other side. We're going to have rally. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have music. We're going to talk about the different legislation. There'll be a lot of different types of people there, from everything from union people to LULAC people. We're very, very pleased.
So the actual event on this. It's going to be on the steps of the Capitol.
On the lawn. We'll be on the lawn.
On
and
the
then
lawn.
We'll have speakers
Begins
and entertainers.
at 4:00.
That is correct.
And wrap up by 6.
Yes, that's what our permit allows us for.
Okay.
So that's, we have to stay within that time constraint.
So if any of our listeners want to get on a bus, I think they're filling up if they've not already filled up, please contact wowtex.org to get more information. If you want to make your own way there, be there for 4:00. I try and get there before, meet up with the Houston contingent. But you go in the morning, you come back in the evening. So it's a one-day event.
Yes, the buses will be going up. The buses will be leaving around 11. Okay, and then they'll be coming back at about 7.
Okay.
That's the target. And so it'll be a one-day trip for those. There's many of us, like myself, I'm going up the day before to try to help get stuff set up, and because we want to meet the buses when they get there. And the buses are going to be fun because people are going to be doing posters, and we're setting up lunches for everybody, and we'll have drinks, and just we're wanting it needs to be a positive, good time. We're addressing something that's very serious and very scary in a lot of ways. But the reality is to bring people together, we want to make this something positive that we can look forward to, because really what we need to be looking at is November.
Yes.
That's where we need to have our focus. This is just that first step to making people aware and getting them motivated and energized into the process, so they're aware of what's going on.
That's absolutely right. Do you have anything else to say about the National Rally, Rhoda?
Just that I am so incredibly excited. I am just overjoyed that so many people are getting out there on Saturday to have their voices be heard, and that I had some small piece in helping get that together, as Andrea has too.
And what state are you in?
I'm in Washington State.
And what's going to happen in your state?
So we have 3 rallies here in Washington, one in Olympia, our capital, one in Seattle, and then one on the east side of Washington in Spokane.
Okay.
And all of our rallies are from noon to 3, and we have, speakers, entertainers, all of that. So
sounds wonderful.
Yes.
Well, you have fun over there in Washington State. I hope the weather, we don't know it's probably going to be hot and steamy in Austin.
Yes. Yes. But that's better than rainy and hurricanes.
Yes.
So we'll take it.
Rhoda, thank you for joining us here on the Progressive Forum, and thanks for give us your website one more time.
It's unitewomen.org.
Great. Thanks again for joining us, Rhoda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Rhoda.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Andrea.
Just to let our listeners know, I've been speaking to Rhoda Mueller, who is a National Director of Regions for the Unite Women, and we're talking about the Unite Against the War on Women. So one more time, Andy, what are we going to do? Who are we going to call to get more information?
We're going to go on to wowtex.org. That website has a lot of information. It has who our speakers are going to be, what the entertainment's going to be. It has statistics. It has who voted for what. It has names. I mean, we are trying to get that information out there, so it can be used as a tool. I think you'll be very happy with we have flyers. If you want to see the different types of flyers that we've generated.
If we want to come, but we don't make our own posters, we can come and pick up some posters when we get there.
We're going to have poster board, and we're going to make some stuff. So I mean, we'll figure out how to get that message out there.
So to our listeners, we have listeners in Huntsville and in Galveston. Huntsville, we've got buses from Conroe if you want to do that, or make your own way over. I urge our listeners in Galveston, if you feel that you want to join us in Austin. This is the only rally in Texas. It is the one in Austin.
We are trying
to
focus in Austin.
Yes, so join the movement, join the crowd, join the celebration for women, and men love it too. We all want to, if we help the welfare of women, everybody benefits.
That's right. And it's a family.
It is
people
family
are bringing
friendly.
Their children, there's men and women. It's not just a women's issue, it's a family issue.
Right.
So, and we're trying to make it.
Well, join us. So this Saturday, April 28th, it's the national rally, the Unite Against the War on Women. And in our own state of Texas, we are meeting on the lawn in front of the Capitol. this Saturday in Austin from 4 to 6. Please feel free to contact www.wowtex.org for more information about buses that are leaving from Houston. It's not too late to sign up, and if you're interested, and I hope you are, please do so. It's time we stand up, and it's time we're heard. And this is Lillian Kerr. I've been talking to Andy Gardner, a local organizer, about this rally, Unite Against the War on Women.